Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us today. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world. And after being reminded yesterday by the one and only, the engineer extraordinaire in our studio, that our signals also get to Louisiana. So good morning, Louisiana. As a part of the United States, we're singling you out as we beam our signals through the ionosphere right back to you. Anyhow, folks, we have a great show for you today. First of all, I want to remind you that if we don't cover everything that is in that newsletter that you got yesterday, again, or for those who haven't yet gotten the newsletter, you can always go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And you can click on all the videos, etc., that we intended to cover that we likely didn't get to cover live on the show. But without further ado, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain is here. And she says, good morning, universe. I love that. But you know what? We are a part of the universe. So yes, good morning, Houston. Today is Neil Aquino Day, Thursday. And I realized that since the new year, I hadn't spoken to Brother Neil Aquino. And I'm just realizing after I realize it's a new year, Neil Aquino, Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the global audience.
Yes, and before we get started, though, we have to go directly to that wonderful room that makes everything happen, the control room with Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bever. Good morning, my brothers.
Well, good morning, Egberto. It's a good thing that Jack reminded you that we broadcast to Louisiana, because I might have forgot about that.
He's slipping.
Yeah, he is.
I'm getting old, man.
Yeah, I know. And in fact, I get a year older tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, you do, don't you? I tell you. But, you're younger, brother. That's all.
Well, younger than what? Dirt? About it.
I hear you.
I'm older than Jack and older than most of the people around here, so I got it made, man.
But you know what it proves, man?
He's the patriarch.
I know, but getting old, he shows what getting older can be like, and we all look up to that. We know what getting older can be like, Jack. Anyway, what's up? What's the word, Jack?
Well, since it's Neil Aquino, I'm going to talk about fascism.
All right.
Okay. World War II, we were warring against fascism. Mussolini, Adolf Hitler were just the head of the snake. Trump and Biden are a mouthpiece for the corporate industrialist. The problem was the neoliberal economic policies in Germany that the industrialists used to put Hitler in power. Our corporate industrialists are doing the same thing here in America.
Well, the fact is, Jack, how did that work out for them? And I don't think it worked out very good, because they blew Germany to bits and all the industrial stuff went under with it. So the industrialists here should take a look at that and go, oh, maybe that isn't a good idea.
But it's so profitable for them.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have temporary profits, but however, in the long run, the rats are going to turn on you.
Yeah.
I am glad that Howard just said that. I am so glad Howard just said that. How did it turn out after all? So, Jack, man, what you're saying is great. And let them remember that, hey, how did it turn out when you pushed it?
Yeah. Okay. We're in a fight for our democracy now.
Yeah. The one thing to remember is, to the politicians, to the industrialists who are buying the politicians, the rat that you buy today will bite you tomorrow. So beware.
Yes. All right.
Let's get politics done right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I was waiting for you guys to wrap up whatever you wanted to. I mean, you know, hey man, I love the preamble. Anyway, let me just say this, folks. I want to say that yesterday's show, I don't know whether for those who listen to it, I can't tell you how much I loved it. And the reason why I loved it, first of all, is I felt it reaching folk. And after the show, folk reached out. It is a kind of program that I think we are supposed to be actually solving a problem or enlighten folks about what's going on, where people can sit down and say, I kind of feel it now. I see it now, etc. If we're not making a difference, what the hell is the point? And I said for the beginning of the year, we are going to be concentrating on three major subjects: the economics, healthcare, and voting. And everything falls under that domain. Absolutely everything falls under that domain. So all our subjects eventually gets there. And I got that feeling that we touched a few yesterday, and I want to continue to do that. Now, today we have Brother Neil Aquino, great activist from, or not, I'm going to call him great, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project with us, and he kind of follows Harris County, specifically, the country's politics, but Harris County, he follows it very hard. And Harris County is a bellwether county in the entire country. What happens in Harris County eventually promulgates itself throughout the country. So the words that he's going to speak about today has a lot of effects all over the country. Likewise, I want to remind folks, look, call us. I want to hear more than anything else people's stories, whether they be healthcare or economics. Let me tell you something about what we do here in America. We have a tendency to do what I call suffering in silence. There's a lot of stuff individually happening to each of us, right? And I don't know, out of this false individualism that we have allowed ourselves to believe in, that allowed that fomented the growth of that created the growth of the plutocracy, we somehow think that individualism means we have to be tough and just accept the pain that we really shouldn't have to accept, or that we shouldn't be enduring. I want us to open up. I remember when I started speaking about my wife's lupus and how it affected our insurance. And I've been talking about this for over a decade and putting out these stories, and then getting people to say, oh, that happened to me too. When I talked about my daughter's 2 strokes and the kind of financial issues that's created, and people are like, oh my God, that happened to me. When we spoke about when Obamacare was coming into fruition and the red side was really attacking it, etc., and we had a woman call in attacking me for promoting Obamacare and letting people. And after, as we spoke, I looked at her and said, by the way, ma'am, your son that is currently going through these issues that has no care qualifies under Obamacare. And she called into the next show and said, oh my God, my son can get care. I didn't know. The job of this show is to say, we don't sit down and hate on each other. We sit down and help on each other. And people start to realize that, oh my God, we can't let these external forces to work on us. Look, there are going to be some people that are completely unmutable. Like I have someone in the chat, oh, Obamacare has done nothing. He says, this is the person who has worked for corporate America, who has had corporate healthcare, who has never a day in his life. I'm speaking about you, my brother Eric Hayes. Never a day in his life lived the position of somebody who needed the Obamacare, the extended, what is it called? Medicaid, the Medicaid addition to the Obamacare. Never needed that. Never understood what it takes to get insurance for some people that Obamacare solved. It's asinine to say Obamacare did nothing when millions of people were helped with it. Now, folks, that's what we're here for. We're not here. We listen to our brother that is immutable in the chat right now, but we keep moving forward and we tell our stories. And I want you guys, when we're talking, for you to call in, tell us your stories. It will, in fact, help other people. Your story, the story that we heard yesterday from Alice, the story that we heard yesterday from Mary, that helped other people. You know why I know that? Other people contacted and said, oh, thank you for talking about that. That's what we're into. We're not into being indoctrinated, being gullible by what the red has instituted into the minds of people like our brother on the chat right now, who seems immutable because of ideological blocks. But we're willing to open our mindset so that we can make changes. But without further ado, Brother Neil Aquino, Happy New Year, and it's great having you here, my brother.
Happy New Year to all. Let me just build on what you just said for just 60 seconds, if I can.
Do it, brother. That's what we're here for, open discussion.
I was asked out of the blue from a friend to, in March, speak to a civic association in town that is protesting a bar. They don't want this bar to come in their community, and they've been having protests. And one of the members of their protest crew is in some legal trouble because he said some apparently libelous things about the bar that just weren't seemingly potentially weren't true, and he's in some legal trouble. And so this group, which is bilingual, a number of immigrants, are now scared to come and protest because they've seen the legal hassle that this one guy has. And I've been asked, because of the Cornyn protest, the John Cornyn protest each week that I'm at his office for with my colleagues, I've been asked to come and speak to this civic association to show them that here's a guy who's been protesting. No trouble has come to me. You have the First Amendment right. And the person who runs this civic association was concerned that these immigrants and folks not used to protesting would be afraid to move forward because their colleague has this legal trouble. So I was very proud of that, and I think that shows the message that you're saying, the capacity to make change and to listen to people's stories, and how now if we can remind these folks that they have these rights, no matter if they're immigrants, no matter if they're Spanish speakers predominantly or bilingually, now they'll have the ability to protest and advocate and win against the bar or against the next fight. So that shows the capacity of just rank and file folks to make a difference, and even outside your own community. Although all community is connected.
That is so right, Neil. And again, I want to repeat to our audience, the only way these people could have taken advantage with us in healthcare and the economy, etc., is to keep us divided, is to keep us not talking to each other. I wrote a little piece on Daily Kos last night it was on this issue with healthcare with one of the people who called into the 3:00 show. I'll play that tomorrow. But this guy responded, and I said, look, the only thing that's holding us back is the false belief that we shouldn't work together. The false belief that somehow we don't have the same problems, that red and blue makes red and blue, you're still putting on your pants the same way. Red and blue, you still get the flu. Red and blue, you still need healthcare. Red and blue, you still need all these things that are quite equal in what you actually need. Don't let them blow your minds with crap. Don't let them blow your minds with crap to keep you separated and not working for the field. But anyway, Neil, you wrote 2 blogs that I completely love. In these difficult times, you went ahead and you challenged statements by a couple of Democratic candidates that were campaigning or are campaigning here in Harris County. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Great, thanks. So this is on the Houston Democracy Project blog. You can Google it, Houston Democracy Project. It's at neilaquino.com, and there's a daily blog and a website. So in the past week, I've written about 2 state senators, just coincidentally, 2 Democratic state senators. One Roland Gutierrez, who represents San Antonio, also the Uvalde area, and he was campaigning here. He's in the U.S. Senate primary with 6 candidates, or a number of candidates, including U.S. Congressman Allred. And he was in town in November at a rally, and I asked him if he was going to talk about democracy issues, and he wanted to switch the focus to guns, which makes sense. You know, he represents Uvalde, and it is an important issue. I said, well, what about democracy issues though as well? He can speak about a lot of things. We can do 2 things at once or 3 things at once. And he told me just right out of the blue, he told me that guns polled second with African Americans and third with Latinos, right? And so why should I believe a word of anything he says after that when he's telling me that it's all about polling? And to take it further, we have this U.S. Senate primary to oppose Ted Cruz, and we have to defeat Ted Cruz. We can defeat Ted Cruz. He only won by 3 percentage points last time. What U.S. Representative Allred and Senator Gutierrez, I'm going to base my vote in that primary on whom I think can best generate November turnout. Representative Allred doesn't even have an issues page on his big website. So we have these people just winging it based on polls, not telling you. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. They're going to spend millions of dollars in these primaries that's going to go to consultants, not going to build any structure, not going to empower any Black and brown organizers, not going to empower any young women organizers or anybody. So we need to ask our representatives who are seeking our vote, what turnout are you going to generate? How are you going to? You just said Harris County was a bellwether. We need the turnout in Harris County to hold the county. We need to defeat Ted Cruz, and we can't give up the prospect that Texas can reject Donald Trump. And the other blog post, which was similar to the one I just referenced, Senator Carol Alvarado observed Pledge of Allegiance Day at the end of December, and that's very good. We should those are our patriotic celebrations. But her conception of Pledge of Allegiance Day was very limited. She just posted up a Twitter meme. Maybe a staff member did it, and I said that what Senator Alvarado could do to be patriotic, additionally patriotic, would to speak frankly about threats to civil liberties and democracy, would be to prepare a detailed written plan of increasing November turnout in her chronically low turnout district. And if Beto O'Rourke, if in our safe legislative U.S. House, Senate, Texas State Senate, Texas House districts had good turnout, we would have defeated Ted Cruz. And the other thing, and this speaks to John Whitmire, now as mayor, and Senator Alvarado was one thing rarely she was politically active for was for John Whitmire, speak to law enforcement unions who are supporting election deniers, such as Ken Paxton and Donald Trump. There is no public safety without democracy. Just imagine that our law enforcement unions, our local HPOU police union, supported Ken Paxton. Imagine that. The most lawless, roguish.
Wait. I'm learning this now. Are you saying the Houston Police Union is supporting Ken Paxton?
They endorsed Paxton in the last race. I didn't know that. Race.
I just learned that. I didn't know that. That is crazy. You supported a criminal, somebody under indictment. That is amazing. Okay, go ahead.
And so I'm just to wrap it up. We are seeing Trump yesterday was talking. This is all connected. Trump was talking about mass deportations and using law enforcement, enlisting local law enforcement for these deportations. Whitmire, he hasn't yet, to my knowledge, referenced the DPS, state police troops, since becoming mayor a couple days ago. But that's his clearly stated intent. How will these DPS troops not be agents enforcing Trump's mass deportations, Texas SB 4, which the Biden administration sued about yesterday, allowing routine traffic stops to become deportation, and then also Trump's announced suspensions of civil liberties and use of the Insurrection Act if he's returned to the White House? We're inviting in our own, and our state representatives and our state senators who should be touring their districts, preparing people for the prospect of authoritarianism, alarming them like Paul Revere about, the fascism is coming. And instead, they're just catering to it. So the upshot is, whether it's the U.S. Senate primary with its giant statewide implication, or just Houston, Harris County area State Senate District 6, we need to insist that our representatives are driving turnout, are standing up to forces that might not be on the right side, come in an authoritarian situation, and that they are speaking clearly about the threats that are being stated right in front of us, and still they do nothing different.
It is amazing because, to put it bluntly, Democrats need to do that. Democrats need to stop being wimps. I got a call from a rep last night, and I won't say who she's representing right now, but this was a young woman, and we started talking, and I said, what do they intend to do with XYZ? And she said, oh, you can ask him that sort of stuff. And I said, yeah, but I want to know, are we going to get some other wimpy candidate that doesn't come out and point out the statements of facts? The Texas legislature, for all practical purposes, is committing murder, as it doesn't allow the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care, which means a lot of Texans are without insurance, which, instead of Democrats coming out straight and going into rural areas and saying, hey, the reason your hospital is closing is because your Republican congressperson did not accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. Are you going to go out there and say that? Are you going to go into these rural communities? And let me tell you what happened then. A person on Daily Kos wrote an article titled, I don't have the title of the article, but in effect it says, oh, this is the title of the article he wrote at Daily Kos. And by the way, folks, you can start calling in 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And you can ask about anything, whether it's something that I'm talking about, Neil's talking about, or whatever it is that you want to bring into the fold. Remember, we want to hear your stories. 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. I also want to hear what people think about the DPS coming and patrolling the streets of Houston. Every brown-looking Latino will become a suspect. And that is not racial profile on our part. It is racial profiling on Whitmire's part. It's racial profiling on the governor, if he allows them into his city, and Governor Abbott for instituting that policy in the first place. You become suspect for being a brown Latino. And notice I'm saying brown Latino because the phrase Latino means nothing. I'm a Latino, but anybody sees me, they see this black dude. They don't see Latino as we perceive it in the United States. Likewise, there are blue-eyed blonde Latinos that if they keep their mouth shut, nobody knows they're Latino. So Latinos is sort of a catch-all phrase for just Spanish-speaking people that, you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, 713-526-5738. Llámame si tienes algo para decir sobre ese sujeto or whatever. So folks, 713-526-5738, extension number 2. All lines are open. But anyway, Neil, this guy wrote an article titled "Sick of Democrats Ignoring Rural Democrats." And it turns out this guy, this particular rural area, I think it's in Pennsylvania, won a whole lot of Democrats got elected. And when the party had a function, they completely left them out. So I wrote him. A lot of people didn't answer him specifically, but I wanted to answer him to tell him, brother, you are right. We need to stop forgetting about our rural brothers and sisters. So I said, thank you for posting this. I consider every poor, working class or middle class American a potential vote, irrespective of their current party affiliation. We have the same problem here in Texas. One party and candidates get bad advice from elitist consultants who command huge salaries to give advice on stuff they know little about. Texas is not a red state. It is a neglected state. If you want the vote, you have to invest in areas where Republicans vote. I can tell you from experience, talking to folks that these people know little about what democratic agenda means from their bread and butter for their bread and butter lives. Why? Because we invest in overpriced, incompetent consultants and forget to invest our monies in grassroots organizations throughout the middle of the country. We don't need to convince the nut jobs. In other words, there are going to be some nut jobs even if they're getting sliced, even if they're feeling pain, they will just vote their ideology because they just can't take it. We just need enough of the sane ones to get a supermajority. We just need sane people to vote to get supermajorities for the policies we support, irrespective of their ideological bent, irrespective of their party. Look, I'm a Democrat precinct chair who no longer waits for the party to do a damn thing. I use my shows, blogs, etc., for people to simply say, I want to do what's right for humanity. But you get the point, Neil.
I did, and we saw the rural urban alliance. You and I were talking about it a little bit before we went on the air of
Yes.
The school choice, and so the test for that. So you referenced the nut job. So the test will be that Governor Abbott, he's called 4, I think, special sessions, maybe more on the way, to get his so-called school choice for elite people or super religious people to get government money at the expense of urban and rural schools. And so they now are in the March 5th primary going after the Republican state representatives who were opposed to Governor Abbott's voucher thing. And so the small number of super ideologically right voters in primaries will have a decision to make in these rural communities. Are they going to keep their state representatives who opposed the vouchers, or are they going to move even further right? Of course, these same state reps were doing some pretty lousy things otherwise. But so those voters in those Republican districts will have a choice. Are they going to at least have something that serves their community, or are they going to go just really full on fascist or full on Trump?
You know, that is why I say, Neil, that we need to have those Democrats that want to win need to have respect for those people in the rural areas in this country. Because if they had, I know they have done studies, right, where they says, well, you know, there are certain people, even though, you know, you give them the ideological, you give them the reason why their ideological bent is wrong, and they still want to do what they do. Then they'll say these are just people that are inherently sexist, or these are just people that are inherently racist. All of that is BS. I look at folks and I say, you go out to you invite everybody into the fold. You're going to have those who accept, and you're going to have those who don't. But to go ahead and just believe that rural people inherently are racist or rural people are inherently sexist denies the fact of what we have on the East and West coasts as well. Look, people are people, and they tend, or most, or a large plurality of them, tend to, when nurtured, which is what Republicans have done to the rural areas, nurture these people. Yes, they fooled them. Yes, they abused their gullibility. Yes, they've done all those things. But what they've done is appease them. Folks, 713-526-5738. Please do not wait until the end to call us up and give us your story. Tell us what you want, whether you want to talk about what we're talking about or whether you want to change the subject. 713-526-5738. I have a piece taking a little break here from our banter that I want to play, and this has to do with whether it is right for us to remove SCOTUS to remove Trump from the ballot. A lot of people say we should let the people decide. And, for a long time, I felt that way. They're like, it'll tear up the country if we just take Donald Trump off of the ballot. That's crap.
I agree.
I was thinking about it as well, and I'm like, we should let the people decide. Well, let me ask you something, everybody that's listening to me. According to the Constitution, right? If you cannot be president if you're under 35. Should we let the people decide and let Maxwell, who's 20 something years old, but a hell of a congressman, should we allow him to run for the presidency? Should we allow Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I don't think is 35 yet, to run for the presidency? By the way, I am not a natural born American citizen. I was born in Panama. I cannot be president of the United States, even though I am a bona fide tax-paying United States citizen. I cannot be president of the United States. Should we let the people decide? Maybe, who knows? I don't know if they like me or not, but if they like me, should they have a choice to vote for me for president? The Constitution says I can't. The Constitution also says an insurrectionist cannot be president of the United States or hold any office. Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. He led the January 6th insurrection. He invited the people on January 6th to come to the Capitol. He said, march on the Capitol, take back your country. He's an insurrectionist. Therefore, he doesn't have legal rights to the ballot. So I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I want to thank PDR Posse member Michael Rudnin for this one. I think it's important because what it does is it goes ahead and it puts to rest the idea that somehow these conservative judges on the Supreme Court can, with their sense of textualism, their sense of conservatism, their sense of reading the letter of the law out of the Constitution, whether it's valid or not. They claim that is the reasons they changed things like overturning the abortion law in the Dobbs decision, because why again? The Constitution never really gave that right. They are textualists. They are going to believe in what the Constitution said. Well, now that the Supreme Court has now that the Constitution, that 14th Amendment in the Constitution, will they honor it? Will they honor it? So they said, well, maybe it doesn't apply to the president. Hogwash. When it was established in the 1800s, they had that distinct discussion. An office of the United States government. The presidency is one of those offices. Check this out. Take it on the other side.
Multiple lower courts have already ruled that Trump himself did personally engage in insurrection. But a core question at issue here is for whom this insurrection clause was really intended. Which offices count? Which officers count? Was it intended for presidents and presidential candidates, or are they somehow exempted? Now, the Colorado State Supreme Court, goes a long way towards resolving what the authors of this amendment were thinking about when they wrote this, whether they specifically intended this amendment, this Section 3 of this amendment, as a guardrail against presidents and potential presidents who engaged in insurrection. The state Supreme Court did some very, very deep research to make the case that, yes, this sure does apply to presidents and presidential candidates. And to that end, among the best and deepest cuts cited in this ruling is this one. It is a conversation between two senators in the year 1866 as they were literally writing the 14th Amendment. Senator Reverdy Johnson worried that the final version of Section 3 did not include the office of the presidency. He stated, this amendment does not go far enough because past rebels may be elected president or vice president of the United States. So he asked, why did you omit to exclude them? I do not understand them to be excluded from the privilege of holding the two highest offices in the gift of the nation. Senator Lott Morrill fielded this objection. He replied, let me call the senator's attention to the words, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States. This answer satisfied Senator Johnson, who stated, perhaps I am wrong as to the exclusion from the presidency. No doubt I am. The senators who literally wrote the 14th Amendment specifically meant for it to apply to the presidency. It does not get any more originalist than that, my friends. And that is exactly the point here. Adam Serwer argues in The Atlantic today that this ruling from the Colorado State Supreme Court is going to put the court's conservatives between a rock and a hard place. The court's conservative justices often justify their decisions through the legal philosophy of originalism, or trying to interpret what the founders meant when they wrote the Constitution. Serwer writes that this Colorado Supreme Court ruling is calling the bluff of the U.S. Supreme Court's originalists, forcing its conservative justices to choose between their purported legal philosophy and the partisan interests of the party with which they identify. So it would seem. Now, Trump has until January 4th to appeal the Colorado State Supreme Court decision, and his campaign says it plans to. And when that happens, it will put the issue on hold until the Supreme Court makes its decision, meaning Trump will likely be on the Colorado Republican primary ballot, but whether he appears on the general election ballot in Colorado and potentially in any other states that could follow Colorado's lead, all of that will rest once again in the hands of the Supreme Court.
It's clear, folks. It is clear. From a constitutional point of view, Donald Trump must be removed from the possibility of ever being president of the United States again. Folks may say some people will get upset. That may be the truth. But did we get upset when Donald Trump won with less than a popular vote? Yes, we did. But we didn't go ahead and destroy the nation. We followed the Constitution. Did we get upset when Al Gore lost to Bush with the Electoral College, even as he won the popular vote? Yes, we were upset. But again, we followed the Constitution, and we should this time again.
We absolutely so. Absolutely so. Anyhow, we have a Tag on the line. So let's go ahead and get Tag on the air, and then we'll move on from there. Come on in, Tag. How are you doing this morning?
Good to hear that you're feeling better.
Yes, I am. Actually, I feel maybe that's why I'm a bit excited, because the pains are gone and I still have a little cough, but I feel great. Talk to me, brother.
You know, I've been thinking about this sugar high that a lot of mega people have over these polls right now. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how they can just see Trump being the next president just because the polls a year out or whatever. And I've come to the conclusion that a lot of these MAGA Republicans, they're going through the 8 stages of grief. You know what the 8 stages of grief are, probably, huh?
I know you're going to teach me.
Well, it's just depression and anxiety, and you know, the 8 stages of grief are fascinating if you don't know what they are. And I'm not going to go through them now. People should look it up.
Okay, I will.
But the thing is in 2020, all these MAGA people had to deal with the 8 stages of grief, which a lot of them never have. They're still kind of stuck someplace on step 3 or step 5 or something. And so in order to get over the 8 stages of grief, they go back to that sugar high or cocaine high of looking at the polls and thinking, oh, yeah, this is all going to be over soon because the polls say that he's going to win again. It ain't going to happen. And then all of a sudden in 2024, they're going to be right back to another episode of the 8 stages of grief again. And what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? After 2024, I don't see any way that they could continue to say that Trump's going to win again in 2030 or whatever, 2028. There's just no way. Eventually, these people have to.
Go ahead, Tag. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
These MAGA Republicans are going to have to learn how to deal with the 8 stages of grief. And until they do that, we're going to have a bunch of unstable people on that side of the political spectrum. So that's kind of what I want to say. And I can wait for a response, or I can get off the line, whatever you think.
Well, before you get off the line, let me just say this. what is sad is the power that have been ceded to what many call the MAGA, specifically the MAGA Republican politicians, who the reality is Trump has always been a paper tiger. He has never, ever won the popular vote. Ever. And each time that he's run, he has lost by a larger margin. So the media and everybody else that plays this guy up like he's some powerful figure, if he is powerful, then, and this is coming from somebody that isn't like fond of Biden, even though I will be voting for Biden again if Biden is a choice. But when you look at Biden's performance, both economic, social, and popular vote versus Trump, if you think Trump is great, you should think Biden is like extraordinarily great, because again, he has outperformed Trump on absolutely every issue. That's a statement of fact that's quantifiable, Tag. It's, we can talk about things, right? But there are certain, you don't have to like Biden, you don't have to like Trump, but you can still quantify things. And when you look at job creation, all these numbers, stock market, all these numbers quantifiably beat Trump. So if you really think Trump was great, if you have your facts straight, man, you must think Biden is a god. Anyway, go ahead, Tag, before I go to Sharon.
I just want to say one more time that we all need to study the 8 stages of grief and then overlay that what's happened to the MAGA party, because it perfectly explains where these people are in their mindset, and the idea that it's all being covered up. Those 8 stages of grief are all being covered up by the sugar high or drug induced high that they have from the polls right now. The polls are telling these people, boy, things are going to be just fine here in another 8 months or whatever. It ain't going to happen. And then we're going to have this return to the 8 stages of grief. It just explains to me. I just thought of this. It's a great thing. And I think
I'm going to go look that up, Tag. But look, thank you very much for calling, brother. Let's go to Sharon. And before Sharon comes in, folks, remember this. Thank you, brother. This is a call-in show, 713-526-5738. Again, please don't wait till the end. 713-526-5738. Please give us a call now. Don't wait till the end. Una vez más, 713-526-5738, extension number 2, 713-526-5738, extension número 2. Let's go to Sharon. Come on in, Sharon.
Yes, sir. Good morning, my brother. How you doing?
Good morning, brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, man. I want to say that other people are
Hey, Sharon, you're breaking up a bit. Can you try to? I don't know if you're in a voice over IP.
Yes,
Could you kind of? There we go.
Yeah. I hope you can hear me much better. I'm in a new development. We out in Katy.
Okay.
Anyway, I was saying, okay, how can you call yourself a conservative or even original when America was founded on Christianity? That's just a dog whistle for you being a conservative. Because all those things you can serve in is what?
I mean, that's a good point. You don't want to conserve the bad. So if you call yourself a conservative, maybe is that what you're saying? That's a good point. Go ahead.
But that's exactly the point. It's logical because we see, look at Trump. What guy can go and quote Hitler in a 2023 and still in my own? Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, and I think, look, most people, Brother Sharon, are good people, whether they're Republican or Democrat, independent or whatever. Most people basically are good people. When I sit down in a coffee shop, and I start to have a conversation, I like to talk. I talk to anybody that's sitting next to me, whatever. I never first say, hey, what party are you affiliated with or anything? I usually talk. And it's amazing how great the conversations usually go. When we're talking about regular things. And then ultimately we get into the good thing about it is when you build some kind of a relationship with people, even if it's on the first day, and they kind of like you and you start talking politics, you can actually get through to them than if you just start from this shouting animosity kind of a thing. So, but as far as you're saying, conservative, what are you trying to conserve? I read you. I'm with you. Want to add anything to that, Brother Neil?
Right. Right. Conservatism is supposed to, it's not right. We're not conserving anything decent. Right.
I mean,
we're not conserving any. It's reactionary, and I think that's always.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're breaking up a bit, Neil. So we'll take care of that. But anyway, anything else that you want to say, Sharon?
Yeah. You see, a lot of people talk, and a lot of people in America, they get caught up in this news media rhetoric, like Fox News and all those crap. A lot of people listen to it. It's just like anywhere else in any other country, like Russia. They have news propaganda. It happens in America too.
Right.
It happens quite frequently. Fox News and all these other cats. Look how much of them got sued. Look at Rudy Giuliani. Look at Rudy Giuliani. He getting sued. These guys are racist. Oh man.
I'm glad that you said that, because Sharon, I want to expand on what you said there. You said that we look at other countries and we say they succumb to propaganda, but the truth of the matter is we do too. We're no different than any other country in the world that succumbs to that. And I see Neil shaking his head, which means, Neil, you want to mention something about this.
Just the notion. I think it's important to have that notion. In some respects, we're just like any other country. We have this American exceptionalism that we're not going to fall for this. We're not going to become a fascist state. Of course, we were a Jim Crow state until 1965. So it is that concept is important. It easily can happen here, to take the title of a novel, and I also just want to say I just wanted to make the point of agreement with your points about Colorado and taking Trump off the ballot. You can't be cowed into not doing it because of the reaction. It's clearly what the Constitution says. They want us to be afraid, and we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid. If we act that way, they will pound us and see that and just proceed.
Absolutely. So we cannot cower to paper tigers. We cannot cower at all. Sharon, thank you so kindly for calling in. Thank you so kindly for listening. Keep listening, keep calling. Thank you, brother. All right, let's go ahead. Brian is on the air. Brian, come on in, my brother. What's up? Oh, wait, hold on, Brian. Wait, Brian, hold on. Folks, callers, please don't wait till the very end. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. 713-526-5738, extension number 2, whether it's on a subject we're talking about or something that you want to talk about. 713-526-5738. Come on in, Brian.
Okay, yeah, I want to briefly touch on abortion again.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, do you know that there are only 2 countries in the Caribbean that abortion is legal?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Cuba and Guyana.
Okay.
What is the rules for abortion in Panama?
I believe it or not, I'm from Panama and I don't even know. Go. Again, and guess why I don't know? Wait, hold on, Brian. Guess why I don't know? Because these are subjects that we leave to women and that sort of a thing. So I don't know. You tell me.
Exactly like the state of Texas.
Okay.
Greg Abbott is an evil person for that. All right. Greg Abbott is an evil person because of the rules that he set up for abortion.
No, let me tell you why Greg Abbott is an evil person. Greg Abbott is an evil person because that woman whose life was in danger with that baby in her body, we had an attorney general representing the state of Texas who said this woman needs to die before they give her the option of removing the fetus that could have killed her from her body. That's what makes him evil. I don't even think in any Caribbean country, and I don't, that would be allowed. You continue, please.
Okay. The abortion law in Venezuela, what is that?
I don't know. You may know all of this better than I do, Brian.
Yeah, but that's an evil country also, right?
No, I don't think it's evil. I think you missed the point, though. You really missed the point. The point isn't the numbers. The point is what comes behind the numbers. Okay? And again, we are not going to compare ourselves with other countries. I believe, like I said, first of all, personally, as a person, I would rather people not having to have an abortion. Our country does not have the social structure to support children. We don't have a lot of safety nets that all these other countries have. All right. But we, at the same time, having a baby it's also an economic issue for women. And we tell them, you're going to have that baby no matter what. And when that baby born, we don't give a damn. That's the kind of country we have. But continue, my dear brother.
Okay. Now, abortion was mandatory in China during the one-child policy.
Okay.
You could have one child.
Okay.
The man had a vasectomy, and the woman had the choice of being sterilized or an IUD until the time of menopause.
Okay. What's your point?
And again, it was an abortion. It was a mandatory abortion.
Okay.
So, do you see the difference here? You have a choice, or it's mandatory. All right.
I'm still trying to see where you're going, but that's fine.
Okay. Where am I going?
Yes.
All right. The government should not state what you do. The people state.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. You just made my point. You just made my point. Thank you, sir.
Okay. No, here's my point. It's not up to the government to make the decision.
Oh. So you agree with Wow, you continue to agree with me.
Yes, I do. It's up to the person, not to the government. The government should not tell you you cannot. The government should not tell you you must. That's the point.
Oh, wow.
You're saying one person is evil because he is listening to the representatives. Greg Abbott doesn't just make up a law. He has to listen to the representatives. And they say, hey, look, we don't want women to have abortions.
Ah.
You understand now I'm making sense, right?
No, what I'm saying is I think you're, first of all, yes, you're making sense, but you're still saying it is okay for the government to control a woman's body. I think you're saying, I don't think you realize that you're speaking out of two sides of your mouth.
No. It's not okay for the government to say it's mandatory.
But your representatives is the government, sir.
Yes, it is. And they are listening to the people. And the people say, no.
Wait a minute. Because, Brian, I love you, brother. Because you know what? What happens is this. You prove to me, Brian, you come across here as being very tough and very single-mindedly right-wing. Okay? And
yes.
I've been talking to Neil and others about us really engaging with everybody. And, there are some people who tell me, don't engage with the Bryans of the world because the Bryans of the world, they're far gone. And you came out here and you started to analytically go through this issue one step at a time. And even though your conclusion isn't necessarily going to be what I think it's going to be based on your logical steps, what you show me is that you are, in fact, a logical thinker. So as we get down to the latter stages, it seems to me like eventually we are going to break bread. Because first, let me give you some examples here. You talk about the representatives, but at the same time, you talk about government. The representatives representing the people is government. I speak about every single time that those people who say government are the problem are actually speaking ill will of the people, because people are the government, which you just agreed with. But Brian, I'm at 55 and I need to get Donald in. I tell you what, you call this show all of the times and I always give you airtime. I got to let you go now, but I got to go to Donald and then we'll talk tomorrow. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Donald.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Brian hit the nail on the head. You can't individually attack one person for carrying out their job.
True.
The laws have to be rewritten. And the problem is we're reactive. Everything's reactive. So that's the problem we have. If you have a kid that's screwed up and you see the problem, the school can't do anything until he actually commits a crime. And that is the problem we have right now. It's just like abortion is not illegal in the United States. It is 100% legal. It is up to the state to decide whether they approve it or not. And if you don't like it, move out of that state or change your representative. That can write the law. And that's it.
But wait, hold on, Donald. You nailed something that is very important. You said we are reactive, and you are so true about that. In crime, we want to fight crime after it occurs as opposed to solving the problems that cause crime. In abortion, we're reactive instead of making lives better for people so that abortion is not something that is we're people who don't want to get pregnant, don't get pregnant, meaning education and other things. We don't do that. You nailed it. But anyhow, I have to run back to the studio and then get Neil to give some final words.
Okay, one quick thing. As OC1 says, off of your other guy's thing, hurting people hurt people. We have to find the solution to make them stop hurting or give them a step up. And that's it.
Thank you. You love your brother. You're absolutely right. Hey, studio, my brothers and sisters, my brothers in the studio. How you guys doing?
Your brothers in the studio. Yes, that's us. Interestingly enough, I must say that Brian finally came around.
Yeah.
So good for you, Brian. But I tell you what's going on is the extremists of the far right wing fringe is telling the representatives, oh, we don't want this. But, after the child is born, they don't really care.
They don't care.
Do anything for child care.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay, well, that's it.
Jack, real quick.
Well, I just say kudos to Brian. I really appreciate what you said.
I do too. Anyway, thank you very much, Jack. Let's give Neil a quick closer. Neil, we got to go.
Great. Thanks for having me on. Everyone keep track of John Whitmire in his first weeks of mayor. Be active and vocal. The Houston Democracy Project. You can Google it. We'll be talking about it. The Houston Democracy Project. Thanks.
That is NeilAquino.com, right? I mean, NeilAquino.org?
NeilAquino.com.
Thank you very much. Anyway, folks, thank you so kind of. Love all the audience. Love you listening. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right. You guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.